odd and kind of bad changes and the terrible transitions. I'm just kind of getting started. I was going to try and do it in all one big video, and then they told me it has to be cut down. They won't let you do a big video. So getting right into our first point, God separated the light from darkness. And what exactly does this mean? Um, well, it talks about that in creation, it tells us that God separated the light from the darkness, and then He sends ultimately His Son Jesus to be the light, separated from darkness. And He comes to a dark world, and He's this bright light. And actually, my reading for the evening is Matthew 1. And in Matthew 1, it talks about Jesus being born, and basically the light it's in flesh, it comes in human form, this light, this bright light, and it shines in the darkness. And I think there's a couple of reasons that people don't want to believe that it's a separate light, because if they believe in this light exposes us. I mean, it talks about in Ephesians 5:13 that light exposes us. And how many of us want to be exposed? I mean, it's we're an ugly picture. It's a broken sinner in need of grace, and I don't want to be exposed for that. And so often we try and hide the light, and I think that is why we like to cover up the light and kind of put it under a basket. But God brings this light to a dark world, a world that likes its darkness, that's content with it because it's never seen the light. And He loves us so much that even though we're ugly, He comes and takes us as His bride, and He shows His light. He leaves His royal kingdom where everyone worships Him to come to this place where there's all these rotten sinners who don't even want to be with Him, even though He's the greatest source of light. And so, but when He's crucified, He ultimately draws the line. There's all of a sudden light and darkness. It was at one point basically it was all darkness, and now it's light and darkness. And so, then on our second point, it talks about that we cover up the light. And I mean, there's a lot of examples of us covering up the light. I mean, we're in a lot of ways like the people that talks about Job 24, that we rebel against the light. So often we don't love God and we rebel against Him. And then it talks about Psalm 18:28 about God lighting David's lamp. And do we really want our our lamps to be lit? I mean, because when they're lit, like it's in Ephesians, it's going to expose us. When we're showing God's light, when we don't, as it talks about in Matthew 5, when we don't cover it up and put it under a basket or in a jar or something, suddenly it's revealing. It's showing who we really are, what we're really like. We can no longer hide. um, the light is exposing us. Light, the reason people like darkness is they don't have to see themselves for who they really are. If you're in the dark, okay, imagine everyone, here's kind of a neat analogy. Imagine you have 20 people in the dark and they've never met. In fact, they had some dumb show called Dating in the Dark or whatever, and I think I might have watched like one episode or something. I was never really into it, but it's an interesting concept. These people get to know them for who they say they are, but it was supposed to be for who they really were. You didn't get to see their looks or anything. But it's basically the same thing. What if we all went in a room? We can tell ourselves we're anything. We can say to the person, if we're all in a room of darkness, I could be the most athletic guy. I can describe myself as ripped and built, and um, I can be a fireman if I want. I can tell people that, and they'll believe me because we're in the dark and we don't know. But suddenly the light exposes us and it shows we're rotten sinners, and we just don't. I don't want to see it. It's ugly. Um, and so, but it says that Jesus in Matthew 17, Jesus shines like the sun, and the sun's bright. It does. I mean, He opens wounds. He shows us who we really are, and sometimes that's a scary thing. We don't want to. We don't want to see who we really are. And so I so often, I don't know about you, I mean, do you put your light under a basket or do you let it shine? I mean, me, I tend to, it talks about in Isaiah 60, shine for your light has come. Shine. For your light is coming. Be a light to the world. Go spread the light. But I don't want to do that. It scares me because the light will expose me, no doubt.